Do you feel that the president is at times frustrated by how he is perceived as his own messenger?
It's an interesting question. Look, I think every president probably is frustrated at moments when they do not feel like their views, their passions, their policies are being heard and digested. There's lots of reasons for that. There are good questions that I know this is not a panel about this, but like, are long speeches still effective means of communicating with the public? Probably not, right? I mean, we know that because if there's a lot of ways that people digest information. Would he like to be traveling a lot more out in the country? We've been talking about this for a while. Yes, and
right now you're doing
more.
And
he is. I mean, he's traveling 3 times this week. And in some ways, I look at there are limitations that have been imposed upon him and us because of COVID that I think have not allowed people to see at all times what his magic is, right?
Let me ask you about student loan cancellation, which you have been talking about for quite some time. You want the president to do it unilaterally. 2 Obama-era economists, Senator Warren, Jason Furman and Larry Summers, have warned against the president's extension of the student loan moratoriums during this time of inflation, saying, quote, it's regressive and adding fuel to the fire of inflation. You are calling for more, though. Why does this spending make sense at this time when Americans are desperate for prices to come down?
Actually, what I'm calling for is to cancel a big chunk of student loan debt.
But they say it'll add to inflation. They say that'll add to inflation, Senator.
No, actually, not paying student loan debts has already been baked in.
You support lifting Title 42. So what is your plan to handle a likely surge in migrants, and are you confident that they will be treated humanely?
Look, Title 42 is not consistent with our values, and it doesn't keep us safer. The Biden administration is putting plans in place to deal with people who are asking for amnesty and humanitarian relief at the border. But keep in mind, we need comprehensive immigration reform. And that's something all the Democrats are on board for. We have to work out the details. We still need to be in that fight, though. That's where we need to make significant change.
Can you clarify that? What is the Biden administration position on the judicial branch and its right to have influence over public health policy?
The judiciary plays a really important, co-equal branch of government, right? Very, very important. I believe that decisions around those should be driven by the scientists, right? Whether people should be en masse or not, that certainly is what it means to follow the science and to look at what the scientific agencies are recommending. Obviously, the judiciary has an important role to play. What you heard out of the administration, out of the Department of Justice, was the assessment that this was an incorrect decision, and the DOJ is now appealing that decision.
Am I hearing you say Democrats just need to get caught trying?
What you're hearing me say, first of all, is that not everything has to go through Congress. We picked the example of student loan debt. That would affect about 43 million people. That matters. It would affect them directly and affect their families.
You and other Texas Democrats have shared your concerns with this White House. Are they listening?
You know, we told them, but they said they're going to continue with lifting the Title 42. But the thing is, yes, they're listening to the immigration activists, but my question is, who's listening to the men and women in green and in blue? And more importantly, who's listening to the border communities, the sheriffs, the landowners, the rest of the people that live on the border? And I was in Roma, and I was with a lot of people there, not only public officials, but other folks. And none of them said, yes, go ahead and lift Title 42. None of them said, open up the border. They're very concerned because they're in the front line, and they're the ones that I think we need to listen to. We need to listen to the border communities.
And we have a president right now, sadly, who has absolutely no idea what the hell is happening. He's shaking hands with the air. He's walking around somewhat bewildered. I'd say it's no good. And taking orders from the Easter Bunny. You saw that one? No, no, no.
God bless you all. Pakistan should not, and Afghanistan should be people.
Oh, the Easter Bunny, Mr. President.
Difficult, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. And I think that we're in one of those moments in world history and in American history where we've reached the point that the crisis on the environment has become so obvious, with the notable exception of the former president, that we really have an opportunity to do things we couldn't have done 2, 5, 10 years ago. I wish you didn't have to stand. Don't you guys have any chairs? I'm not used to them standing for me. My mother had an expression, and I apologize to my colleagues. They've heard me do two things my whole career: quote my mother and father, and quote Irish poets. But I'm not going to quote any Irish poets today, okay? But